Richard, what's the Arab world's input and attitude to this peace deal?
I think the Arab world is extremely important, and it goes beyond even just the Arab world. The support for this peace deal has come from countries like Indonesia and other, which is, of course, a major Muslim country, and other Muslim countries around the world. And that's critically important. And I've no doubt that that has played a major role in persuading the leadership in Qatar, the Hamas leadership in Qatar, that they really need to go along with it. And I think it's very hard. It's really hard for many of Hamas's cheerleaders in different places around the world, including here in the UK, to try and encourage Hamas to keep fighting, which they've been doing since the war began, while they've got this very united Islamic front, which demands Hamas lays down its weapons. It demands Hamas release the hostages, and that Gaza is run not by Hamas, but by an international entity, initially anyway.
James.
Colonel Kemp, you mentioned just a moment ago supporters of Hamas in the West. One of the things that has absolutely struck me is the way now with Hamas now isolated largely in the Arab world, which I think no longer sees Palestine as a cudgel with which it can beat the West. The way there are so many in the West who are cheerleading against this deal and who are, giving only the most grudging satisfaction to the Trump administration. What is the, in the UK, tell us about the mood there. We saw those horrific protests against the flotilla being stopped just after that Manchester terror attack. What is happening in Western liberalism that it seems to be still supporting Hamas?
Yeah, and I think the same is true in your government in Australia. The British government under Keir Starmer, the Canadian government, the French, they've, as you all know, they've recently recognised a non-existent and never going to exist Palestinian state, and of course that was welcomed by Hamas. Hamas praised your Prime Minister, they praised our Prime Minister and the other world leaders for going along with this so-called two-state solution. So our governments have been encouraging it, really encouraging it. And I think we saw the breakdown of a previous negotiation over hostage release as a direct result of the decision taken certainly by Keir Starmer and Macron to announce at least their intention to go along with a two-state solution. So we've seen frightful appeasement of Hamas. We've seen demands made against Israel to stop defending itself, while no demands have been made against Hamas. So I think they have marginalised themselves in many ways. People like Albanese and Starmer have marginalised themselves in the stance they've taken, because the entire Arab world, as we've said, most of the Muslim world, pretty much, has come out against Hamas and really against what Albanese, Starmer, etc. have been doing and trying to do themselves in relation to the Middle East. They've become non-players now as a result of this.
Well, Richard, I said you had a great sense of humour, so I'm going to tell you a great joke. And that joke is that Anthony Albanese is trying to take credit for Donald Trump's peace plan. Can you believe it? He's actually...
That is a great joke, and I wouldn't believe it except for the fact that we've got the same over here with Mr Starmer doing the same thing. I think it's an infectious humour that we're seeing.
Exactly, lefty humour. I want to just quickly, Richard, ask you, you mentioned the split, if you like, in Hamas. I can imagine that in Qatar, the multi-billionaires are sitting there probably going, OK, well, we've lost this one, we want to survive. But in Gaza itself, many of the Hamas leadership have been killed. So the Hamas leadership there presumably is the young hotheads, absolute ideologues, brought up, through all the Anwar teaching, determined to go to the death, some glorious martyrdom or whatever. So Israel will presumably, if this thing falls over, which I'm sadly anticipating it will, is going to have to move very, very fast to get in there and finish the job. Is that kind of how you see things playing out if Hamas don't come through?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's no question Israel is ready for this. Israel have been dealing with these people for many, many years. They understand the way this works. They're not going to pull out until they've got what they need, really, and particularly they're not going to pull out anywhere really until all the hostages have been released. But if it doesn't work out, if that doesn't materialise, which I fear it won't, but I really hope I'm wrong, then the IDF will absolutely return to the charge. And Hamas really in Gaza have two options. They can either surrender the hostages, lay down their weapons, melt away into the background, or even leave Gaza, or they can keep fighting and get killed, because that's what will happen. They will die or be captured if they carry on fighting. And one other point I think to be aware of is that there seems now, in the last day or so, there seems to be a stronger uprising among one or two of the clans inside Gaza, the non-Hamas clans against Hamas. And I think quite a few Hamas terrorists have been killed in the last 24 hours or so by some of these people. So it may be that we're seeing, some of the non-Hamas elements in Gaza getting hope that they're going to have this war stop, seeing the resistance by Hamas and taking things into their own hands as well, which might help push things in the direction that we need them to go in.
Not before time, one might have thought. Richard Kemp, Colonel Richard Kemp, always great to chat to you. Thanks so much for coming on Outsiders.